Number one recruiting class in America belongs to... No, can't be. No, don't believe it. No, I think they're off by a state, aren't they? They gotta be. Number one recruiting class in America belongs to Michigan. Welcome to Wolverines Live, right here at the Voice of College Football. We got our man Dre Artis with us tonight to talk up the Maize and Blue. What's going on, Dre?
It's a great day to be a Wolverine. Great time. I'm glad to be back and talk about some exciting times for the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, so this number one recruiting class has been in the making for quite some time, but it technically, officially became the number one class here in the last 2 days. So here on Wednesday, we've got JEROD Smith, defensive lineman out of Cheshire, Connecticut. Cheshire, Connecticut used to be just down the street from me. Cheshire Academy, defensive lineman, 6'3", 265. Fourth rated player in the state, 30th rated at his position. He's a top 300 player at number 270. And Tuesday's commit, tight end BRADY PRIESKORN. He's out of Michigan, and he's 6'6", 225. Second rated tight end in the country, second rated player out of the state of Michigan, number 56 overall. So two top 300 players. And there it is.
Yeah, just a great bit of traction done from a recruiting standpoint for this program. And Mark, what's so encouraging about it? Obviously, getting these highly talented kids to commit to your program, and it's a great sign, and it helps give you confidence that they should be able to sustain the success they have built the last couple of years. But it shows that the coaching staff is doing what I've been begging for them to do, which is to ride the momentum they've really built the last couple of years, and bring in some highly talented kids, because we know to get over the hurdle to win a national title, you need a little bit more of that 4 or 5 star talent pool, right? I mean, of course, player development is critical, but you need those difference makers to really be at the big boy table, to play that last game of the year and have a legitimate shot versus the Georgias, Alabama type teams. Even Ohio State, Ohio State may not be at this point in time a good matchup for Michigan, but they may be better built to play the higher caliber teams due to the way they recruit and the type of players they recruit. So this is important. It looks to be a great step, maybe another potential ladder that this program may climb, but there's still a long way to go, but it definitely feels good. I will say that it's interesting. Jaden Davis tweeted out, you asked and we delivered. And, I'm really starting to really draw to this kid because I'm not sure if you watched it, but I know I did, as well as some other Michigan fans did as well. On his commitment day, he spoke about why he wanted to commit early. And the reason why was due to he wanted to get in to be like the first person, the first domino to fall to really get this recruiting class kicked off and build some momentum. And it looks like he's definitely had a domino effect from that. This kid wants to be a leader. He wants to be in front of this train that Michigan's trying to build, and that's beautiful to see.
Yeah, we've talked about it here. We've talked about it on other shows that recruiting is a momentum deal, because if you've got it going in the right direction, then people want to be part of a winner. They want to they see what's going on. They see what's being attracted to a certain situation, a certain coaching staff, program, and they want to ride the momentum, and they want to be in on what's happening. And on the flip side, if commit after commit after commit is bypassing a particular situation, then it's a situation we see in buying and selling and supply and demand all the time, that if that's a situation that's being, for whatever reason, even if it's not necessarily a tangible reason, not a situation that players are buying into, and then one decides it, two and three decide it, then the momentum goes in the other direction. So, and then on top of that, what you're alluding to was obviously you bring in one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And then he's not only committed to his situation and securing his own situation, but wants to go out there, wants to build something around him and continue to build on what's going on. And I made this statement about, I don't even remember what team it was or what show here in the last week, but I think it applies here to Michigan. There's something attractive to, okay, Michigan's obviously got a winning coach, a winning tradition, a winning situation right now. So the proof of concept is in place. Like they don't have to sell something like has to be sold right now at Texas or Miami or somewhere like that, Texas A&M, where, oh, we've got everything in place to be a winner, but we haven't proven that we can do it here. So you got to trust us. You got to catch the vision. Well, at Michigan, the proof is on the field, but it's also not Alabama where, okay, you're just the next in line, you're the next in the process. We're going to put you in your slot and you're just along the factory line of championships. No, you can go somewhere where it's being proven that this is a successful operation, but you know what? You could be on that first national championship team. You could still do something special and make your name and be part of something special.
Well, what I think what you're alluding to is that it provides legitimacy to your pitch to these kids in terms of the richness of your program, right? We're not just pitching hope and dreams and you're actually at the big boy table. You've won your conference the last couple of years. You played on the biggest stage, which is the college football playoff. Like you said, the proof is reality, right? These kids know that they've seen your brand, they've seen your head coach, they see some of your players playing on the biggest stage. So you don't really have to sell them on that. That's evident. Now it's just a matter of, do you want to be a part of this train, or do you want to go somewhere else? And now Michigan is putting themselves into a very select few bit of programs that can say a couple of things. They can say that, hey, we've been to the college football playoff multiple times. How many programs can say that? Maybe a handful. And they've done it recently and in back-to-back years. Their success has been and they have some of that recency bias, maybe for some of these kids as well. Over maybe a school like Notre Dame has been, I believe, in the CFP twice, or Clemson, where it's been quite a while since they've been there. So it's beautiful to watch. I do think it'll be interesting now that they are having this influx of talent. How do they manage those kids on campus? Do you see a higher turnover rate in terms of, you see kids come and leave the program all over the country, but now when you see guys who used to be starters, like we saw last couple of years, or at least guys who got playing time, who decide to move on and go to different programs, because now it's a lot, the competition level is a lot higher due to the higher caliber of kids you're bringing in, right? We've seen it years with Ohio State with the huge receiver pools that you guys bring in. Just the fact that a guy like Jameson Williams ends up in Alabama, it's incredible. Well, you have a receiver room like Ohio State has had over the years, and everyone can't play, so that's going to be interesting for me. How does Harbaugh and his staff start to manage this higher class of players in terms of keeping them happy, making sure they have the proper and right opportunities, but they're being earned, and they're properly filtering out the kids that should come to this program, should stay at this program, and that will thrive at this program.
To focus on PRIESKORN, the tight end, he caught 24 passes as a junior, 648 yards, 10 touchdowns. second-rated player in the state, as we mentioned. His offer list included, plays a lot of basketball as well, as you can imagine. A lot of tight ends that are top football prospects play a lot of basketball at 6'6",
Absolutely.
230. Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, Penn State, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, Miami were his final list. And so there it is. He stays in state and goes to Michigan. Our guy, Antoine's here. Antoine, we always appreciate you jumping on board to talk Michigan football. And Antoine's already done the scouting for us. Says, I just looked at JEROD Smith's tape. They got to leave that kid at rush end. That dude is better than I thought. He has great moves. He's more advanced than a lot of 5-star rankings. All right.
Well, one thing, Antoine, that I can say is that this coaching staff has done a really good job of putting their kids in positions to be successful, especially at the defensive end position, the rush end position. So if they keep them there, yeah, a high degree of confidence that they're going to get the most out of them. Whatever tools and skills he does currently have, they'll help him fine tune that and improve on it, or even help him add to that repertoire. So he's a terror on the football field. So definitely, it's a lot of confidence. I will feel a lot of confidence that he's going to get the most out of his time at Michigan. Absolutely.
Get some Ohio State backlash here. That's always good for the show. Good to get that back and forth going.
Well, look, man. That I can't say Ed is wrong. Unfortunately, that is the roller coaster ride. It's been well documented, well discussed on the show, by myself, by John, by Des, by you, Mark. That it's going to be a roller coaster ride every off season with Jim Harbaugh. I think that's just how it's going to be. I do believe that we'll have some kind of rumors next season, the season after that, and the season after that. I think that's just part for the course. So no, it's always a possibility. And by all means, I wish that he would squash it and never let it come up again. But I think it's just the choppy seas that we have when on the Jim Harbaugh boat. So yeah, but you're not totally wrong, But I think what's interesting from an Ohio State standpoint, Mark, and I'm not sure if you discussed this on the Ohio State show or the other shows, but I saw something where Urban Meyer said something like, I'm paraphrasing, that he had an assistant whose sole job was to study Michigan every week in preparation for the game. And I really want to get your thoughts on that, because I don't think Michigan has gotten the edge just because of lack of preparation. I think it's deeper than that. I think the way that Michigan has flipped this rivalry is due to identity and culture more than it's execution, like by game plan. Because Michigan's not complicated to understand what they're going to do. Everyone knows what they're going to do. It's a matter of if you have the horses to stop it. It's right in your face. It's smash mouth football. It's not complicated. They don't run some kind of complex, explosive trick play type offense. They may have a couple of wrinkles here and there, but for the most part, you know what you're getting. So at least offensively. So I thought that was interesting that he threw that out there. Almost like, to me, I took that as a subliminal message that maybe Ryan Day's not doing all he can do to beat Michigan nowadays.
Yeah, I'm going to take a few cues from various indicators to come up with a reason for that. I don't necessarily like to judge somebody's intent or judge what's going on between their ears or in their heart if it's not completely obvious. So I don't want to say that the rivalry means less to Ryan Day. I don't want to make those kind of claims, but I will go off of indicators. Jim Tressel, who dominated the series, he lost once in 10 or 11 tries. He made the comment one time, and he was just talking in general, but this was definitely directed at the Michigan rivalry, that if it came down to two recruits and they were close in every tangible way, that he's going to take the in-state guy because he just believed that he was going to scratch and claw and fight and work harder. Most likely, you can't say this about everyone, but there is more likely to going to be a determination in that game, and also a determination leading up to that game, and also a determination in the middle of February to lift more weights and to run further and do everything possible to win that game and to fight for his school and his team because he had state pride. Jim Tressel used to say that. Now, Urban Meyer, first of all, Urban Meyer became as successful as he was, I think, partially because he's just a maniac. I think
Yeah.
there's part maniac there, part maniacal, like paranoia that I hate to lose, I can't lose, I don't want to be embarrassed. And also Ohio State roots, and Ohioan, all of that. This is where he wanted to coach. And obviously now Harbaugh has that over Ryan Day, if that is a factor. And I do believe that somewhere deep in the heart, the mind, the psyche is there's got to be something said for a Michigan guy who was born and raised under Bo Schembechler's tutelage, played quarterback at the school, has been a Michigan man for all this time. That yes, it means a lot to him. Urban Meyer, in a different way, as an Ohioan, a guy that coached at Ohio State as an assistant, was a grad assistant there. All of that. That there's something to that edge of being that ingrained in the rivalry.
Well, it didn't help Brady Hoke out. But no,
No,
I
yeah.
get your point. I get your point. No, absolutely. Look, I always wonder about that. How do you get a kid from another state, another region, like a kid like CJ Stroud, who was born and raised in California? How do you get a kid like that to embrace the hatred of your rival? Um, Now you can bring them your program. You put them in their uniform. You teach them the fight song, but can they really embrace it without growing up around it and seeing it and talking to the fans? And I do believe there's an extra oomph to that. No doubt about it. Because you can't fake that, right? And I think it's part of the reason why, Mark, to give you a little insight, because I don't believe you know this. There's actually probably more hatred between Michigan and Michigan State fans than there probably are between Michigan and Ohio State fans recently. And part of it's due to the fact that we see each other all the time. We live in the same state. A lot of us, went to school together, party. It's a lot more mingling involved on a day-to-day basis. So you deal with the trash talk a lot more than you would with an Ohio State fan, where yeah, there's a lot of Ohio State fans in the state of Michigan, and probably vice versa as well. But I just think the odds of it are just a little bit different. So no, it definitely matters. But I don't believe that is the crux of the change in this rivalry. I think Michigan has, especially this past year, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Ohio State arrives to Ann Arbor this fall. I think they've taken their confidence. I think they're shaking their. I think when you're so used to beating somebody for so long, and then they flip the script on you, it's almost like being in a boxing match and you get punched and you get stunned, and you really don't know exactly for that moment. You don't really know, don't have your bearings, about you. And I think that's kind of where Ohio State is in terms of this rivalry. Michigan has the last couple of years gave them a couple of haymakers that they didn't expect because they were used to winning all the time, and now they're not exactly sure where to go. And so, but to bring it more towards the Michigan front, it's imperative for Harbaugh and these players to make sure that they're not getting complacent, that they have to continue to ride this momentum, and now that they are seemingly on top, to do whatever they can to stay on top. And if that means that you have to keep an underdog type of mentality, then that's what you need to do, and it's imperative for Harbaugh and the staff to do so.
All Harbaugh needs to do is point to indicators like the ESPN FPI. I don't know if you saw the Football Power Index that came out last week. And if he wants to keep his team sharp and on edge and hungry, then he can just show them things like that and say, you're the two-time Big Ten champion. You've gone to the playoffs the last 2 years. You beat Ohio State by 2 and 3 scores the last 2 years. And they're still telling us that Ohio State's the number one team in the country. And we're only sixth. Yes, the Football Power Index, according to ESPN, has Ohio State at number 1 and Michigan's at 6.
That's unbelievable. Considering the quarter, I only say that, Mark, due to the quarterback situation.
I agree.
I think that's unbelievable. Well, that's good. I like that. I mean, I think that Michigan is going to handle most people on their schedule, and by the time we get to the game at the end of the year, they'll be well positioned to get to where they need to be. But certain programs get their inherent bias. Ohio State has been one of those programs. Alabama has been one of those programs. Even though Alabama's quarterback situation doesn't seem very clear right now to me either. It is what it is. I think 6 is a spot where you don't really worry about it. As long as you win the games in front of you, you're going to be where you need to be. And we know how the beginning of the year works, Mark. Somebody out of that top 5 is going to lose. It's just kind of how it is. So, but I do see your point that could be a potential selling point for Jim Harbaugh and the staff. It's like, look at everything we've done. This is how people view you. They still don't. You still are not respected the way you need to be. So what are you going to do about it? So I'm actually kind of glad about that. Actually, sometimes it's not good to get too high of yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if he looks at things like that, cares about things. I'm sure he doesn't care about things like that. That doesn't mean that a coach can't use things that they personally could care less about, but know that maybe the athletes look at it, the 20-year-olds look at it and could use that as motivation. I don't know, but I'm just saying, hey, as soon as you just mentioned trying to keep this football team focused and keep them from being lackadaisical, I just thought I'd give Jim some help there.
What do you think about the recent departures from Michigan? I mean, they've lost AJ Henning recently. They've lost RJ Moten, as well as Nikhil Hill Green or Green Hill. All 3 of those guys saw time on the field. I think Hill Green dealt with injuries, but he was obviously one of the guys that were going to be in their rotation. RJ Moten was in the secondary rotation last year, and AJ Henning was one of their return specialists. And at times he'll be on the field for a few, reverse plays and stuff like that. So those are 3 guys who got playing time for you. I mean, how do you view that? Is it just par for the course of a program like Michigan, or is it a potential sign that possible turmoil, or what do you think?
Yeah, I was going to bring up RJ Moten because he is the most recent. That just came out today. And here's a guy that played every game last year, played every game the year before, or actually got injured a little bit. But when he was healthy, was utilized in the rotation, getting regular reps, 31 tackles last year, 35 the year before. You mentioned AJ Henning, and as soon as I saw that come down, my first thought of AJ Henning is coming in for those sweet plays, kind of being a
gadget player,
knife kind of guy.
Yeah, gadget player. Yeah, it's just always interesting to me when you see. I mean, same thing goes to look. This is pretty much right after the season concluded when Anomi, the pass rush, the rush in, transferred, I think, to Charlotte University or whatever it is. It's always interesting. You see kids who get significant playing time, who are seeing the field, and for whatever reason they transfer out for a program that's in a good spot. Now, look, it is a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that it's right after spring practice seemingly is about to end or has ended and wrapped up, and maybe they kind of got a gist of where they are in the depth chart and not happy, and it's the right time to move because you get to another program for fall camp. But yeah, a guy like RJ Moten, I saw him as a for sure starter going into this fall, but maybe that wasn't the case, and he decided to to further his career elsewhere. But I think that was like the biggest surprise for me. Hill Green, he dealt with injuries, so maybe he just fell out the rotation. AJ Henning is more of a gadget player. Maybe he wanted a bigger role. And I just it is. I think RJ Moat was definitely the most shocking one outside of Anomi, who I thought was going to be their top pass rusher this year in terms of departures for this team.
Anoma doesn't shock me just because of that being his history.
Right? Yeah.
Moten surprises me a little bit more just because he had a regular role. He got the reps, he got the time, he got the starts. He was secure in his position, or so it seemed. Again, I had the same thought as you with Henning in regards to returner and gadget play guy. Does he want to be on the field? Does he want to be a starter at wide
Right.
receiver? But to answer your initial question, I see absolutely nothing wrong in regards to any kind of indication that there's an issue with culture or players don't like the vibe. There's going to be attrition everywhere because Michigan's bringing in new recruits and they're obviously bringing in a transfer portal, a number of additions that are going to force other guys to leave because of the lack of playing time and the cap on scholarship. So it's, as long as it's not a turnstile,
Right.
and it shouldn't be at a place like Michigan, then I see no cause for alarm. These guys certainly are replaceable, and again, we wish them all the best and want them to succeed and be happy where they
Right.
are. But yeah, I don't see any kind of cultural. It's not Colorado, that's for sure.
No, it's not. Although they did have a pretty impressive spring game crowd compared to the previous year. That was incredible. Did you see
Oh
the
yeah,
difference? So look, that I think that'll be the most intriguing storyline of college football. The University of Colorado, the Buffaloes football. So, but anyway, that's actually my time. Mark, thank you so much for having me.
absolutely.
Uh, look forward to talking to you guys again soon, and go blue.
Thanks, Trey. All right, Dre Artis dropping by to talk Michigan football. I knew he would be overjoyed with the two latest commits that move Michigan to the number one position in the 247 Sports recruiting rankings. And Michigan, I believe, has 13 commits now. Ohio State has a better player ranking per average. Georgia's right there. Alabama's right there. Of course, our guy Antoine is letting Sean know that, yeah, we talk Michigan football here every Wednesday, and we've got a Michigan channel, as you can see, Sean, here at the Voice of College Football. So Sean has never seen us before. You can join us on all our channels. We've got a slew of team channels if you care to hear about anyone else here at the Voice of College Football. And we've got a main channel. And speaking of Dion and the Buffs, we will talk Colorado football tonight at 8:30 Eastern on our main channel, and we will take your calls. So please join us there. And anytime we have a call-in show, you produce the show, and you can call about whatever you want concerning college football. But we typically go with the topic, and that is the topic in college football right now, outside of Michigan, with the number one recruiting class as it stands right now. And that's the Buffs losing 51 players to the transfer portal. And we will see whether that's the genius of Deion Sanders working or that is the less than genius of Deion Sanders working. All right, everyone. What we can do here Elvis Nation, thank you so much for your support. We always appreciate that. Best analysis game out there. Please hit the like button. And that's with us sometimes flying from the seat of our pants. So consider that I just produced a Stanford versus the Big Ten video. If that makes absolutely no sense to you, you would have to go look at the series. It's over on the main channel, Stanford versus the Big Ten. We are coming off two other shows today, which are Ohio State and Oklahoma. Right after this, we've got a Florida State live show. Then we've got a Miami live show. And then I've tacked on that Colorado call-in show a little bit later. Considering that we've got about 20 minutes left here, I believe we will throw out the link and bring in some callers. If you guys would like to call the show here, please join us. And the link is in the comments section. Again, the news of the day concerning Michigan football: 2 commits in the last 2 days, and the number one recruiting class in the country. RJ Moten, the latest to leave via the transfer portal. We had a great conversation yesterday on the Iowa channel, Hawkeyes football, with Coach Don Patterson. So check out that live stream with Corey Brada and Coach Don Patterson. Ed's going to be plugging away on the Ohio State side as we see him. And this is all good, clean trash talking. I know that that's a oxymoron, but that's the best I can describe it. Good, clean trash talking is what we promote here at the Voice of College Football. Let's check out those 2024 updated recruiting rankings. And how does that look, Michigan fans? Who knows? That might be the actual college football playoff rankings at the end of the season. The way things look right now, people love Ohio State and Michigan, of course, in the Big Ten. And Penn State, I think that while I've got a lot of respect for Penn State's talent, Andrew Aller's ability and ceiling more so than what he's shown on the field, of course, in limited time, I don't know that Penn State is not one of those situations where people are getting a bit sick of Ohio State and Michigan, and therefore they're looking to be the visionary as a predictor and saying, can we find the next team in the Big Ten? Can we find the next team nationally that is going to jump up and be able to knock off the teams on top? And Penn State is that chic pick in the offseason, at least. So when we dissect this a little bit further, we've got Michigan actually with 14 commits. 10 of those are 4 stars, 1 5-star. That is, of course, the quarterback. Ohio State with 12 commits. 2 of those are 5 stars. 8 are of the 4-star category. That means Michigan's got 3 3-stars and Ohio State 2. Georgia with 11 commits. And I'm going to guess that Georgia has the highest player ranking per average. Absolutely, they do at 94.3. A little bit better than Ohio State and better than Michigan. And then on down the line, we've got LSU, Penn State, and Florida State. Look out for Penn State looking good again for a umpteenth consecutive year in recruiting. Recruiting has not been the issue with Penn State for the most part, maybe in challenging Ohio State, but Penn State's recruiting has certainly been on par with Michigan during Harbaugh's tenure and during James Franklin's tenure. We've got a Florida State show coming up in 25 minutes on the Florida State channel, so check us out there. The Seminoles are looking good at number 6. I was on a South Carolina radio show on Monday, the Spurs Up show, so be looking out for that. He has invited me. Chris Phillips does an outstanding job with the Spurs Up show, has asked me to show up each and every Monday. So we just started that this past Monday, talking South Carolina football. And look at Shane Beamer at number 7, Notre Dame, Tennessee, North Carolina, the Tar Heels under Mac Brown, always recruiting well despite losing 4 and 5 games every season. And there we saw Florida just outside the top 10, despite some of their issues right now. The Ohio State and Michigan back and forth never stops, and still waging in the chat. Wake Forest, the surprise at number 12. Do not expect that to last. As you can see, no 5 stars, no 4 stars for Wake Forest. So all 14 are high 3 stars, which give them that number 12 ranking. So that's not going to last at Wake for as much as respect and admiration as I have for Dave Clawson. Same thing with Minnesota. When you see that 0 in the 4-star column, it doesn't bode well for keeping up that class. It means 2 things, basically, that those are fairly large classes to date, and also that they are bringing in high 3 stars. Any other surprises here? Iowa's off to a decent start with 9 commits. Again, only 2 4 stars. So Iowa's not going to keep up that ranking either. Texas Tech, a bit of a surprise there. We see Luke Fickell coming in with 1 4-star and 7 commits. Miami has had a good run in the last 10 days to jump up to number 23, but still only 1 4-star commit. At this point last year, Miami was well down the rankings, and they finished at number 7. So again, the typical customers at the top: Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, Penn State, Florida State, and etc. All right, folks, we appreciate you being here, the voice of college football. Want to make sure that you're locked in on everything that we provide here and will be. We just got off the line this afternoon as well with John Kennedy. Yes, John Kennedy from Always Irish, breaking down the Notre Dame football situation with Tyler Buckner hitting the transfer portal, Sam Hartman, and Notre Dame to the Big Ten. Will that ever happen? We certainly had an interesting talk with John this afternoon. And again, it's Florida State live at 6. It's Miami live at 7. And it's a look at Deion's Colorado program and the Buffs' departures, the mass exodus of Boulder and the circus that is Colorado football right now. Is it genius or is it mayhem? Our call-in show is coming up at 8:30 tonight. One last time on the call-in show, we'll drop the link in the chat if anybody wants to join us. Otherwise, we will take off and set up for Florida State Live in about 15 minutes. Michael, good to see you. Looking for where's Notre Dame live? Well, the schedule's a bit tight, Michael, so here's the deal. If I am given any kind of great incentive to add another show, so fill in the blank, that means sponsorship, that means some other people to drive the show and kind of duplicate me. Absolutely, we want Notre Dame live. We want to do Notre Dame live. We want to do Purdue live. We want to do Illinois live. We want to do Stanford live. We want to do every college football team we can do live. And but right now we're focusing on the teams that we have channels for and doing them to the best of our ability. But yes, Notre Dame live, absolutely. I'm all for it. And the next time we have John from Always Irish on, we are going to go live with him. So that's going to be fun. John is full of, yes, don't fill in the blank there, full of energy, full of spark, full of knowledge. And John does a great job. And I told him, next time we have you on, we're going live and taking calls and going to the live chat. All right, everyone. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Again, 2 big commits over the last 2 days, pushes Michigan to number 1. RJ Moten, defensive back, 31 tackles last season for the Maize and Blue, and 1 pick is the latest to enter the transfer portal. Florida State live at 6, Miami live at 7. Then we take a call-in show at 8:30 Eastern over on the main channel, and we will see you then. Antoine, appreciate you being here. Antoine, I tell you, he delivers in terms of showing up with knowledge. And so, Antoine, great to see you. And I expect we will see you later tonight as well, right here at the Voice of College Football.